On the windswept plains of southern England, a circle of ancient stones rises against the horizon. Silent, weathered, and enigmatic, these monoliths have stood for thousands of years, watching centuries of human history unfold. To the casual tourist, Stonehenge is an impressive ruin. To archaeologists, it is one of the greatest puzzles on Earth. Because while much has been studied, measured, and speculated about Stonehenge, the deeper truths remain hidden. And some fear that what lies beneath this monument could rewrite human history itself. Stonehenge is more than just a ring of rocks. Its stones, some weighing up to 25 tons, were dragged from quarries miles away. The smaller blue stones came from the Preseli Hills of Wales, over 150 miles distant. Moving them without wheels, engines, or steel would have been a monumental task. Yet someone, thousands of years ago, not only moved them, but arranged them with astonishing precision. The site aligns with the movements of the sun. On the summer solstice, the sun rises directly above the heel stone, casting a dramatic beam of light through the center of the circle. On the winter solstice, the sun sets in perfect alignment with another axis. This is not coincidence. Whoever built Stonehenge understood the heavens with a sophistication far beyond what we assume for prehistoric people. But the questions pile up. Who built it? Why did they go to such extraordinary effort? And what secrets might still be hidden under the earth around it? For decades, archaeologists have dug cautiously around Stonehenge, revealing tantalizing clues. Burials have been found, cremated remains, grave goods, animal bones, suggesting the site was more than just an observatory. It was also a place of ritual, perhaps even pilgrimage. Some researchers believe it was a cemetery for the elite, others that it was a healing center where the sick came to be cured. Yet none of these theories explain the full picture. The truth is, Stonehenge seems to have been many things at once: an astronomical clock, a temple, a burial ground, a gathering place. But that only deepens the mystery. How could a single monument serve so many purposes, and why was it abandoned after centuries of use? One reason archaeologists tread carefully is that Stonehenge is not just a monument, it is part of a far larger complex. Using ground-penetrating radar and advanced surveys, researchers have discovered dozens of buried features around Stonehenge: pits, ditches, post holes, even the outlines of other circles now lost to time. The landscape is alive with hidden structures, a prehistoric ceremonial landscape stretching for miles. And this is where fear creeps in, because each new discovery seems to complicate the story rather than clarify it. Instead of neat answers, Stonehenge offers riddles. And if the wrong riddle is solved, if the wrong truth is uncovered, it could upend what we believe about human history. Take the question of the builders. Archaeologists long assumed Stonehenge was built by simple Neolithic farmers, tribal groups slowly mastering agriculture. But the precision of the alignments, the massive labor required, and the advanced planning suggest something else: a society far more organized, with knowledge that should not have existed at the time. If evidence were found that the builders possessed advanced technology or knowledge passed down from an even older, forgotten civilization, it would shake the foundations of archaeology. Another unsettling discovery came when researchers found bones with isotopic signatures from faraway lands. This suggests that people came to Stonehenge not just from Britain, but from across Europe. It was a gathering place for cultures separated by great distances. Why? What power did this place hold to draw people from hundreds of miles away? Some fear that the answers might reveal a forgotten chapter of human history, a chapter where civilizations were more connected, more advanced, and perhaps more fragile than we think. To accept that would mean rewriting textbooks, discarding comfortable timelines, and confronting the possibility that our ancestors knew more than we have given them credit for. Then there are the whispers of darker secrets. Legends around Stonehenge speak of magic, sacrifice, and lost knowledge. Medieval writers claimed it was built by Merlin, the wizard, who transported the stones with supernatural power. Folklore speaks of giants raising the monoliths. While these stories are dismissed as myth, they hint at something deeper: a collective memory that Stonehenge was never just a pile of rocks, but a place of dangerous power. Even today, visitors speak of strange feelings within the circle, an energy that cannot be explained by science. Could Stonehenge sit on a natural energy line, a geomagnetic anomaly, or something even stranger? Archaeologists hesitate to answer for fear of stepping into pseudoscience. But the questions remain. And then there is what might still be buried. Beneath Stonehenge and its surrounding landscape lie layers of earth undisturbed for millennia. What if excavation reveals something completely unexpected? Artifacts that do not fit the time period, evidence of technology that should not exist, or remains that do not look entirely human. It sounds like fantasy, but history is full of discoveries that once seemed impossible. Troy was a myth until it was unearthed. The Antikythera mechanism, a 2,000-year-old Greek computer, shattered our ideas of ancient technology. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey revealed monumental architecture thousands of years earlier than we thought possible. Each of these forced archaeology to adjust. What if Stonehenge hides the next great shock? This is why some archaeologists approach Stonehenge with caution, because they are not just protecting the stones, they are protecting the narrative of human history itself. If the wrong discovery is made, the story we tell about who we are and where we came from could change forever. So we are left with the haunting possibility, perhaps Stonehenge still hides secrets too dangerous, too disruptive to reveal. Secrets that could alter how we see our ancestors and ourselves. The stones stand silent, but theories swirl like the winds across Salisbury Plain. For centuries, scholars, mystics, and storytellers have tried to explain the enigma of Stonehenge. Each theory offers a glimpse into its possible purpose, yet none explains it fully. And perhaps that is what unsettles archaeologists most. Stonehenge refuses to be reduced to a single answer. The calendar in stone. From the moment sunlight breaks over the heel stone on the summer solstice, it becomes clear that Stonehenge was aligned with the heavens. Its builders tracked the rising and setting of the sun with uncanny precision. Some argue that Stonehenge functioned as a solar and lunar calendar, enabling ancient people to mark the passage of seasons, predict eclipses, and plan agricultural cycles. If true, this means Stonehenge was a tool of survival, allowing early farmers to synchronize their planting and harvesting with the rhythms of the sky. But critics note that many alignments are approximate rather than perfect. Was Stonehenge truly an observatory, or was its cosmic alignment symbolic, a sacred connection between earth and sky? And here lies the unease. If prehistoric people mastered astronomy so early, what else did they know? Did they inherit knowledge from an even older, forgotten culture, one wiped from history but preserved in stone? The Temple of the Dead. Another haunting theory views Stonehenge as a temple of death. Excavations have uncovered cremated remains buried around the site, some of the oldest evidence of organized burial rituals in Britain. The circular layout, some argue, represents the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Nearby, at Durrington Walls, another massive earthwork, archaeologists discovered evidence of wooden structures aligned with Stonehenge. Some propose that Durrington represented the realm of the living, while Stonehenge marked the realm of the dead. Between them flowed the River Avon, a symbolic passage from life into the afterlife. If Stonehenge was a temple of the dead, then its builders were not merely farmers. They were philosophers of mortality, priests of cosmic cycles, perhaps even keepers of mysteries that bridged this world and the next. But what unsettles researchers is the scale of devotion. Why invest such monumental labor into a shrine to death? What compelled an entire society to build not just for life, but for what comes after? The healing sanctuary. A gentler theory casts Stonehenge not as a tomb, but as a hospital of sorts, a place of pilgrimage for the sick and the injured. Some of the skeletons found nearby show signs of illness and deformity, suggesting that people may have traveled long distances seeking healing. The bluestones, transported all the way from Wales, are believed by some to have been chosen not for their color, but for their supposed magical properties. Folklore claims the stones could cure ailments, and perhaps this belief drove people to journey to Stonehenge in search of health. If this is true, then Stonehenge was less a monument to death than a sanctuary of hope. Yet even here, questions linger. Why carry stones across 150 miles if local rocks would suffice? Was there something about these stones, something measurable, perhaps even scientific, that justified the effort? And if so, what have we lost by dismissing their knowledge as mere superstition? A monument of power. Others suggest that Stonehenge was built not for the heavens, the dead, or the sick, but for power. In societies without writing, monuments spoke louder than words. The sheer size of Stonehenge, the labor it required, and the precision of its design may have been a declaration of authority. To gather thousands of workers, to transport stones over impossible distances, to align them with the sun itself, this was power made permanent in stone. If true, Stonehenge was not just a temple but a throne a reminder to all who approach that here lived a people who could command the forces of earth and sky. And what archaeologists fear is what such monuments imply, that we still underestimate the organizational and technological capacities of prehistoric societies. The lost civilization theory. Beyond mainstream theories lies a darker possibility, that Stonehenge is a relic, not of Neolithic farmers, but of a lost civilization whose knowledge has vanished. Proponents of this theory point to parallels with other megalithic sites across the globe. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, Karnak in France, the pyramids of Egypt, and the giant statues of Easter Island. How did cultures separated by oceans all build monumental stone structures aligned with the heavens? Coincidence? Or a sign of shared heritage? Did an advanced civilization exist before recorded history, seeding knowledge across the world before disappearing in some cataclysm? For archaeologists, this is the most troubling idea, because if Stonehenge does not belong solely to the people we think built it, then our timeline of human progress must be rewritten. The neat ladder of development from hunter-gatherers to farmers to builders would collapse, replaced by a messier truth, that humanity may rise and fall in cycles, with knowledge lost and rediscovered across ages. The alien hypothesis. And then comes the most controversial theory of all, that Stonehenge was influenced or even constructed by beings not of this world. Ancient astronaut theorists argue that the precision of the alignments, the transport of massive stones, and the apparent astronomical knowledge point to advanced technology. Could Stonehenge have been a landing site, a beacon, or a place of contact between humans and extraterrestrials? To skeptics, this is fantasy, an insult to the ingenuity of our ancestors. But to believers, it explains the inexplicable. Why build in such an impossible way, unless guided or commanded by forces beyond human capacity? This is the theory archaeologists fear most, because once it takes root, it undermines the credibility of every scholarly explanation. And yet, the public is drawn to it, for it offers the simplest, most dramatic answer to a mystery that otherwise refuses to yield. A web of possibilities. What makes Stonehenge so disquieting is that all these theories, calendar, temple, sanctuary, monument, lost civilization, aliens hold fragments of truth. None fully explain the site, yet none can be dismissed outright. Perhaps Stonehenge was all of these things at once. A calendar for farmers, a temple for the dead, a sanctuary for healing, a monument of power, a relic of lost knowledge, even a place where myths of otherworldly visitors took root. And this is what archaeologists truly fear. Because if Stonehenge refuses to fit into one box, then it challenges the very framework of archaeology itself. History thrives on categories: temple, city, graveyard, palace. Stonehenge is all and none of these. It is a shapeshifter, a riddle, a monument that mocks our desire for simple answers. The danger is not that Stonehenge hides a single secret, but that it hides too many. To pull on one thread is to unravel the whole fabric of human history. For centuries, Stonehenge has inspired wonder, awe, and endless speculation. But behind the fascination lies something else: fear. Because while most archaeological sites offer at least partial clarity, Stonehenge seems designed to resist explanation. And every new discovery threatens to expose truths that could shatter the way we think about human history. So what do archaeologists truly fear Stonehenge might reveal? Fear 1. The wrong timeline. Human history, as it is taught today, follows a comforting narrative. We imagine a steady climb from simple hunter-gatherers to complex societies, from stone tools to farming to empires. Stonehenge refuses to fit neatly into that ladder. Its scale and precision suggest knowledge we do not expect from people who lived 5,000 years ago. If evidence beneath Stonehenge proves that its builders possessed advanced engineering, astronomical, or even mathematical knowledge, the timeline collapses. We would be forced to accept that prehistoric people were not primitive at all, but capable of achievements that rival or surpass later civilizations. Archaeologists fear this revelation not because it diminishes human ingenuity, but because it forces us to rewrite the textbooks, reframe the theories, and admit that we may have underestimated our ancestors for far too long. Fear 2. The lost civilization. An even deeper fear is that Stonehenge is not the product of isolated Neolithic farmers, but a relic of a lost civilization, one wiped from the record of history. If true, Stonehenge could be one of the last surviving traces of a culture erased by time, disaster, or war. The implications are staggering. It would mean human civilization is not a linear progression, but a cycle. Cultures rise, achieve greatness, collapse, and are forgotten. What if the knowledge encoded in Stonehenge, its alignments, its structure, its hidden features, was a message from a people who once reached heights we can barely imagine, only to be lost to cataclysm? Archaeologists resist this idea because it undermines the foundation of modern history. Yet the possibility lingers, haunting every new survey of the ground beneath the stones. Fear. 3. The evidence. We cannot explain. What if excavation uncovers something that has no place in its time? An artifact too advanced, a material that should not exist, or even remains that are not entirely human. Discoveries like these have appeared elsewhere. The Antikythera mechanism, a 2,000-year-old computer from Greece. Göbekli Tepe, a temple built thousands of years before farming was thought to exist. Each of these shocked scholars. What if Stonehenge hides the next great anomaly? Archaeologists fear this because anomalies demand explanations, and when no explanation is possible, conspiracy theories fill the void. The fear is not just of what might be found, but of losing control of the narrative. Fear 4. The alien question. Perhaps the greatest fear of all is not what Stonehenge proves, but what people believe it proves. The alien hypothesis remains popular among the public, even as scholars reject it. If excavations ever revealed something unexplainable, a metallic artifact, a structure, impossibly precise belief in extraterrestrial involvement would explode. For archaeology, this would be a nightmare. Centuries of careful scholarship could be overshadowed by sensational claims. Yet the alien theory persists precisely because Stonehenge defies simple explanation. It is the unknown that fuels imagination, and Stonehenge is one of the deepest unknowns of all. Fear 5. The mirror of collapse. There is one final fear, one that connects Stonehenge not just to the past, but to our present. Archaeologists know that Stonehenge was not built in isolation. It was part of a flourishing culture that spanned centuries, filled with monuments, rituals, and gatherings. And yet, eventually, it was abandoned. The builders, their descendants, and their traditions vanished. What archaeologists fear is that Stonehenge is not just a monument, it is a warning. It shows how even the most advanced societies can collapse, leaving behind only stones as witnesses. If the people of the Stonehenge world could fall, so can we. Climate change, political unrest, and technological dependence all echo the fragilities of the past. Perhaps what Stonehenge reveals is not only who built it, but what happens when civilizations forget their limits. The monument of shadows. Walk among the stones at dusk, and you feel the weight of time pressing down. The circle seems alive, as if it still holds the echoes of chants, ceremonies, and gatherings long since forgotten. Archaeologists know that beneath the grass lie more secrets, ditches, pits, burial mounds, and perhaps artifacts yet unseen. Each excavation is both exciting and terrifying, because each new find has the potential to change everything, and so much remains unexcavated. Stonehenge's heart is still largely untouched, its secrets sealed beneath centuries of soil. Some say this is to preserve the site, to protect it from damage. Others whisper it is hesitation, an unspoken fear of what might be uncovered, because once the truth is revealed, there is no turning back. The unfinished story. Stonehenge is not finished, not as a monument and not as a mystery. It continues to evolve with every discovery, every survey, every theory. Its story is still being written, not just by archaeologists, but by all of us, as we search for meaning in the silence of the stones. Perhaps the fear is not of what Stonehenge will reveal, but of what it already has, that we know far less about our past than we think. That civilizations rise and fall, knowledge is gained and lost, and history is not a straight line but a circle, as eternal as the stones themselves. The final question. So what do archaeologists fear Stonehenge might reveal? That history is incomplete, that our ancestors were far more advanced than we believe, that a lost civilization left its last message in stone, that something unexplainable still lies beneath the soil, and that what happened to the world of Stonehenge could happen to us. Perhaps the true secret of Stonehenge is not buried under the stones, but in the way it forces us to confront our own fragility. It is a mirror held up across the ages, whispering that the mysteries of the past are also the warnings of the future. As the sun sets over the heel stone and shadows lengthen across the ancient plain, The question lingers: when the truth is finally uncovered, will we be ready to face what Stonehenge has kept hidden for 5,000 years?